Hello there. With the climate the way it is at the moment, I thought it might be a good idea to share with you a few tips on what we look for on a good CV. I suppose the first thing I would say is picking the right font. I would go with a very traditional Calibri, Arial, something of that nature. Try and avoid stuff like Gothic or something like that, unless you're applying for a role, perhaps to be a wizard or a witch, in which case it might be quite appropriate. The format of the CV, we kind of all look for the same structure. There's no need to write curriculum vitae or resume at the top. We're well aware of what it is. So your name, personal details, and by that I just mean your name, email address, contact details. We don't need to know children's names, wives' names, how long you've been married, all that sort of stuff, which a lot of people still put on their CV. So just your personal details at the top, then a brief summary, sort of 3 or 4 lines about yourself, written in the second person. Ideally, if you can relate this to the job that you're applying for, that's certainly beneficial, as it's the first thing our clients will see, and will see for that matter, and will see the relevance of why you're applying for this position in this role. Thereafter, it's kind of a personal preference whether you put your education or your work history. I would certainly say if you were more experienced, I would go with work history and leave education towards the end. However, I would include charterships. They're obviously quite important and look good on your CV. So if we say we're going with our education, I would avoid anything sort of GCSE, even A-level. Just stick with the main sort of degree, postgrad sort of diplomas that you've achieved. Thereafter, with regards to your experience, do that in chronological order, ideally writing the more information about your current role and having that descending as you're going down. There's no point in writing War and Peace about a position you did 15 years ago. That's pretty much irrelevant now. By all means use bullet points. In fact, I would suggest you use bullet points over writing massive paragraphs. Again, it's easy on the eye, easy to spot. If, for example, you're in the construction industry, the projects that you've worked on, the values, your role is essential. Don't over-egg it. We've had plenty of occasions over the years where people have said they've done a particular role, only to find out they haven't. They perhaps worked on the project, but not in the capacity that they've made out they have. We do check references, we do check. Most of our references are done discreetly, not the references that are given on the CV. So bear that in mind when you're sending CVs and what you're writing down, making sure that it is the right information. Obviously everyone exaggerates a little bit, but don't go OTT. I would also say a photo is a good idea, but it's personal preference again. If you are going to include a photo, make sure it's a professional one. Top left, top right, something like that. Just a small picture. You don't need to sort of whack a huge image of yourself on there. And that's it really. Just keep it neat, keep it tidy. With regards to the length of the CV, obviously a question we get asked a lot. This mythical 2 pages that everyone goes on about. I suppose if you were leaving your first role, then yes, 2 pages is fine. Same if you're a graduate leaving university. However, as your career develops, there's no problem in extending your CV to perhaps 3 or 4 pages. I would try and draw the line at 4 and not do any more than that. But 4 is certainly acceptable, particularly if you're a senior candidate, director level, etc. So I hope that's given you a few ideas and a few pointers in the right direction. I'm imagining some of you are going to be doing your CVs, unfortunately, over the next few weeks out of necessity. So by all means, ping me an email or a comment below, and I'll respond. I can certainly send you some test CVs as well for you to sort of copy and use as a template. So I hope that helps, and any questions, I'll look forward to answering them. Thanks very much.